People throw around the word productivity so often, but how does it really translate to your work as a business owner or as a coach? Most of you are working 6, 8 or even 10 plus hours a day on your business. But if I were to ask you right now, how many of those hours directly led to more revenue, right? More clients, more growth? You're probably not sure, right? Maybe 1 or 2 hours. Majority of your time is spent either in the DMs or you're scrolling, right? Tweaking things that don't really matter. Posting content in the dark, hoping it gets you qualified book calls, right? Yes, you are busy at the end of the day, but you are not productive. And that's the problem. You think you're being productive because you're working all day, but working and making progress are two completely different things, and this is what is going to determine the success of your business. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 4-step framework to maximize your time, efforts, and efficiency, so you know exactly what to work on to scale your business. Not just to stay busy, but to actually build leverage for yourself. So let's get into it. So let me address this first. When people say they want to be more productive, what they really mean is they just want more money, right? At the end of the day, productivity is going to lead to more sales, is going to lead to more growth in your business. So that's why you want to maximize your productivity and be conscious of the steps and actions that you're putting into your business, right? A common misconception that people have is they think being productive equals to the amount of work completed in an amount of time. But in reality, being productive is just the output per unit of input. So I'll give you 2 examples here, okay? Coach A spends all week in the DMs and client fulfillment himself, right? Leaving him with little to no mental bandwidth to focus on content. But after the grind, he manages to close one client at 1.5k, but it is split into 4 monthly payments. While Coach B spends the first few days on market research and refining his offer, and the rest of the time creating content that speaks to his ICP, and he does client fulfillment, right? He posts a proven story sequence with the client results that brought him a qualified lead that closed for $5,000 PIF. From these 2 examples here, so for Coach A, in 1 week's time, he manages to close 1.5k worth of revenue split into 4 monthly payments. So that means $375 per month for 4 months, right? Whereas Coach B spends 1 week worth of effort to close $5,000 worth of cash collected. And why is there such a clear difference? It's because the output per unit of input for Coach B is greater than Coach A. So if your goal is to make money and you want to maximize your efficiency and the things that you're doing, you have to adopt this new definition, right? Whereas productivity is the measured desired output per unit of input. So what that means is now you have to be asking yourself these 2 questions. First, how do we maximize the desired output per unit of input? And secondly, how do we maximize the amount of input that you're actually putting in, right? And this will help you not just get more money into your business, but also save you more time in the long run. Now, let me show you a graph to visualize what productivity actually is. Okay, imagine this is you, all right? Whatever inputs you put into your business, there's going to be a direction attached to it. It's either something that is maybe stagnant, right? It's neutral, it doesn't do anything for your business. It can be leaning towards getting to your goals, right? And there's different levels and different depth of how much that input is going to get you closer to your goals. Now, on the other hand, you can also have inputs that actually bring you further away from your goals, right? And these are the things that you want to always prevent and just be conscious of that you're not doing. So the best thing for you to do is to be able to create inputs that is going to streamline your way and your path to success. If your goal is to make 10k a month with your fitness coaching, you have to understand what are the things that will actually move the needle for you. And this comes down to understanding the 4-part framework so that you can maximize and have the most chances and most likelihood of just staying on this path. And for every input that you put into your business, there's actually a multiplier that is attached behind it, and that's something that you have to be aware of and just understand what are the exact things that you can do that has the highest multiplier rate for you. And that is what we call leverage. Now, when it comes to the 4-part framework, I'll talk about the goal, the input maximizer, and iteration phase. So first part, right, goal clarity is the key. You first have to understand what you actually want to achieve with your business, right? This part here, your endpoint is going to determine everything on your path towards it. So it is very important that you define it clearly. A clear goal will give you an understanding of a clear problem, which will give you an understanding of a clear solution. And I always say this, you must know why you have the goal, right? Why are you even trying to achieve this goal? If you have no goal, that means you don't know your problems, and that leads to you not knowing the solutions to those problems, right? If you have a muddy goal, it means you have muddy problems, right? You not know what are the solutions exactly to solve your problems and to get to your goals. Now, if you have a clear goal, right, that means you know exactly what are the problems that you need to fix and solve for you to reach there, and that will lead to you having clear solutions to the problems that you're facing. There's a famous quote saying, "He who has a strong why can bear any how." So you have to understand why you actually want to go in the first place, and then everything will just sort itself out for you, and you'll be able to see things a lot more clearly for you to take action on. Okay, secondly is your inputs, where we talk about how you can not just maximize your input amount, but also increase the quality of your inputs. So take a look at this. Imagine a day you have, let's say, out of 12 boxes of inputs, realistically you have six that you can contribute and put into your business, right? The rest can be friends, your family, your partner, your health, your gym. All of these things are just part of your actions in your day-to-day process. So when I talk about focus, it's the level of attention you put into your work, not just the time aspect. It's not just a 2 hour time span, it's what you do in those extra 2 hours that I'm talking about. When we talk about how to maximize your input amount, what that means is how can we have more blue boxes that represents the amount of actual focus and deep work that you can put into your business. In order for you to do this, you have to be able to remove distractions. Okay, this is the number one thing that always holds people back from reaching their goals and reaching the success that they truly deserve. So for example, if you realize you have 6 hours of screen time every single day, you need to be able to address it. Okay, if that's the case, you want to maybe consider ad blockers, right? So that you can get back to 6 hours. Obviously, it is going to probably be a gradual process, but just being conscious of yourself and your actions, it is going to do wonders for you because you feel more in control of yourself and more control of your time, your actions, your energy. Everything will just come back to you when you understand where the problem is in the first place. Now, on a macro level, right, when it comes to the bigger picture, certain things you have to sacrifice, right, in order for you to reach your goals. That is why I have this thing called a rule of three. At any single moment of your life, it is best if you just focus on three main aspects of it. Okay, that can be relationship, your gym, your business, can be your friendship, can be your family. Whatever it is for you, just be aware that some things have to take a backseat. For my example, my rule of three is my relationship, my gym, and my business. Right? My hobbies have to take a backseat. The things that I love to do, it has to take a backseat, right? I have to be able to get back my time from that I would have spent on my hobbies otherwise and put it into things like working more on the business, right? To focusing on my health and fitness, spending more time with my partner, spending more time with my family. So when you're able to do this, okay, you'll be able to get more units of focus per day. Now, on the other hand, think about how you can increase the quality of your input, right? So examples on this can be focus training, it can be meditation, it can be focusing on diet and making it more beneficial for your energy and your mood, right? It can even be dopamine optimization where you are just conscious of what are things that spikes up your dopamine. A common habit people have is when they eat their food, when they eat their lunch, their dinner, their breakfast, whatever it is, they tend to just watch a video, right? And that creates a spike in dopamine. And when you plan to do work after your meals, it is going to be so much harder because deep work requires you to be in the right state of mind. So what this will do for you is each unit of your input will actually be more powerful. So those blue boxes that represents your focus, they're going to be bigger, right? This means that each of your deep work session or each of your inputs in your day is going to be of higher quality that will move you towards your goals. Now, the third part is thinking about how we can multiply your inputs, right? Input multipliers are so important because this is what creates leverage and long-term sustainability for your business. If you were to think of your inputs and every decision that you're making in your business, what value would you attach to it, right? Have a rough understanding of if this action that I'm doing, is it actually going to benefit me and create leverage for me? Or is it just something that can easily be outsourced? Or is it something that I can choose not to prioritize on first and rather prioritize on other more important tasks, right? If you had 10 inputs a day and the action that you're doing only has a multiplier of 0.1, that means out of 10 inputs, you're going to get out one desired output. Now, when you have 10 inputs and the action you're doing has 0.5 multiplier, that means you have 5 desired output. Now, on the other hand, if you have 10 inputs and you have a multiplier of 2, that means you get 20 desired output. This is just a simple visualization for you to understand how much of a difference it can make, or it feels like you're putting the same amount of work, but the results you get can be night and day. That's why people struggle with scaling their business, because they don't understand and they can't see for themselves what are the exact things that they need to prioritize on in their business firsthand before they focus on other things. And a common example for this is really DM setting, right? Yes, DM setting is important for you as a coach or a business owner, but at the same time, when it gets to a point where you just have more important things to do, right? Oftentimes that comes from content, that comes with your client fulfillment, that comes with how can you leverage the results that you get and just bring more qualified people in, your market research. So you cannot just always be in the DMs, because it is only going to go down, right? Your multiplier for DM setting is only going to gradually decrease over time. This is why what you do matters so much more than how much you do. Okay, this is how I'm able to hit 12K a month for my business and have scaled multiple fitness coaching offers past the 30K per month mark. So the big question for you now is, what would you need to do to make it unreasonable for you to not hit your goals? And a simple way to think about it is the 1000 hour test. What will make it more unreasonable for you not to hit your goal? Is it making and refining your content each time? Is it sending DMs yourself, right? Which one will get you closer to your goal if you were to spend 1000 hours just doing it? Is it 1000 hours of making content, right? Refining it, actually speaking to your ISP, creating a one-of-one personal brand that has no competition? Or is it 1000 hours of cold outbounds and speaking to both unqualified and qualified leads, just wasting your time having conversations with everybody? What binary, or rather spectrum thinking, means is every decision and action that you make is going to be somewhere in the spectrum of effectiveness, right? Scrolling or maybe even eating 3 times a day, that might be negatively impacting your business. Sending outbound DMs, yes, it is helpful, but how effective and how helpful is it really to your business? Posting content that speaks to your ICP and attracts a lot of viewers to your page, that can be seen as the most effective thing you can do for your business at that point of time, because you might be struggling with lead flow, right? You're not struggling with getting too many inbounds. You are struggling with even getting conversations in the first place. So now with that understanding, our goal is to find out and work on our highest leverage task. Okay, this is the most important thing I want you to take away in this video. So for example, if your goal is to make 10 to 30K a month with your fitness coaching offer, the highest leverage task oftentimes is making better top of funnel content, being able to attract people into your page, being able to have a proper funnel to filter people down so that they get nurtured in the DMs. Hiring a setter, right? Managing and training him is going to have so much more ROI for you than you actually being the DMs yourself for, God knows how long, 4, 6 hours, 8 hours a day. So for you, I want you to write down every single day what is the highest leverage task that you can do for the day, so that you don't go off track. So you're as close to the streamlined path to your goals as possible. Now, lastly, right, the iteration phase. You need to understand that your tasks change, right? Your priority will change. Things that happens in your life, and it's never a constant thing. And be able to understand where your feet is at and take action according to that. We want to constantly improve our productivity, okay? And the secret is by becoming addicted. If you are addicted to doing productive work, you are gonna crush it. You are gonna kill it in the space. You're gonna just be the most successful you have ever been. And the way we can do that is either we increase our input maximization, increase our desired output, or we can also decrease the time till our goal is reached, right? So how do we do this? It's simply by tracking and iterating. You want to basically turn it into like your workout sessions, where you are actually tracking your reps, tracking your sets, and then every single week, every single session, you're adjusting it. You're progressive overloading, right? Working out is so addicting because they amplify our natural physiological loops, right? When you create an input, it's going to give you a reward, right? Your mind is going to understand that when I do this, I'm going to get rewarded for it. And play into the strengths of our mind by allowing us to have smaller inputs for bigger rewards. Okay, that is the shift that I want you to understand. This is what leverage really means. And the key here is for you to hit your goals lightning fast. Okay, so let me give you an example of what that means. When we talk about tracking, let's do it for us in real life. Okay, the effect goals that you have for yourself, for example, it can be making 15K a month online, right? In order for you to reach that, you have to understand your core goals. What are the things that will actually bring you towards that goal? right? For example, it can be, posting 200 pieces of content. If you have an idea, if you know and you understand what your effect is and what your cost is, you'll be able to track it more clearly. You'll be able to actually put your emotions aside, put the randomness aside, and just focus on data. Focus on tangible things that you are in control of for you to hit your goals. Now, the main thing here is you need to be able to track your course goals, right? You need to first even see what their course goals is. And this rewards you daily for taking the right actions. It'll keep you motivated, right? Making progress daily and focusing on increasing inputs, which in turn will get you the output that you want. So here are the 4 steps for a lightning fast goal. First, step 1, right? Clarifying what your effect goal is. If you want to hit 15K a month, if you want to get 10 clients, you want to hit 100K followers, whatever the case it may be for you. Now, after that, you want to find what is highest leverage task that you can do in order for you to hit those goals. And that comes from you deciding what your course goals are. Right? 200 videos, it can be daily story posts, it can be sending 50 DMs a day. Just have clarity on what you're doing, have clarity on your day-to-day actions, and you'll be on your way to hitting your goals really quickly. Now, the second step is tracking your progress towards your course goals daily. If you can, create a tracker for yourself, or you can use mine. Actually track what you're doing every single day, right? Think about the deep work sessions that you have. What are you doing in those deep work? And at the end of the session, like, what have you done to move your business forward, right? Have you done anything productive? Have you done anything that feels efficient and builds leverage for your business? Now, the third step is also capturing achievements. It's not just a short-term thing where you have to check your goals daily, right? That might not seem very productive, and it doesn't feel like you're really hitting a lot of goals because you're tracking day to day. But if you were to look at a bigger picture and you are able to, say, track your monthly total progress towards your course goals, you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to feel like you actually are in the right direction. And you can think of it as like you're just trying to beat your high scores, right? If you had a month where you are 5K per month closer to your goals, now the next month you can try to hit 10K a month closer to your goals. Try to beat your high scores, try and beat the previous month, previous week, previous day's progress, and just push it forward over and over again. Okay, now the last step 4, is to always iterate. Always go and look through what are the decisions and steps that you are going to make for your business, because it will always be changing, it will always be fluctuating. You might have things happening outside of your business that you need to address, right? So understand this, right? Always improve your processes, refining what your highest leverage tasks are, and in general, what your daily routine for you to hit your goals are. These are the 4 steps for you to hit your goals super quickly, and also understanding what productivity is, and understanding how you can maximize your productivity, your inputs, right? The amount of work that you're putting in. What are the being conscious of the actions and decisions that you make in a business, and what is the multiplier that is attached behind it. And lastly, of course, iterating, really iterating and becoming addicted to wanting to improve yourself day in and day out. So to summarize, what productivity really is for you to be more conscious of the decisions that you're making day to day, and actually putting in the effort to find out what your highest leverage tasks are, what are the things that you want to prioritize in your business. And it always changes, right? And because it always changes, you also need to be able to track them consistently so that you understand what is going on in your business. This might seem like a lot of work for you, but it is this exact inputs that you have that you get an understanding of what you actually need to do in order to scale your business, right? Exactly what are the things you have to prioritize and pour your energy and time into. All right, that's it from me. Peace.